Hola, buenos días. Bienvenidos a la clase de Español 1. Welcome to Spanish 131 online through the University of Stephen F. Austin. My name is Kelsey Pelham. Soy la profesora Pelham. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of really important information for this course. Starting with a little bit about myself. So these aren't the most current photos, pero esta soy yo aquí. Este es mi esposo. Y esta es mi niña, mi bebé. So my name is Kelsey Pelham, and I am a double alumni, I guess you could say, of Stephen F. Austin. I got my bachelor's in Spanish back in 2011 and my master's in 2014. And ever since then, I've been teaching full-time at SFA. I'm also a native of Nacogdoches, and I'm a lifelong language learner. Through the years, I've learned Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, and several other things along the way. And right now my current project is Polish, which is really proving to be a challenge. But I find that learning Polish actually really helps me to be a better teacher of Spanish for you guys, because it reminds me of what it's like to be a beginner in a language and to really want to learn, but to struggle sometimes to communicate. And my job is to demystify foreign languages for students, which is the part of my job that I really love. In other words, I try to take foreign languages such as Spanish or French or German and make them seem less intimidating, less inaccessible, less alien, make them seem like something that you can actually learn, and to motivate you. Okay? Ultimately, something important that you guys will learn this semester, especially in the online course, is that you will determine your own success. The best thing that I can do for you guys is to motivate you and to guide you, but ultimately, you're going to be doing the language learning. There's no way that I can transfer my knowledge of Spanish into your brain. It just doesn't work that way. So it's going to be your consistency and your hard work that gets you to where you need to go. Which brings me to my next point. You guys are coming in with all kinds of different backgrounds with Spanish. Some of you have never had Spanish. Some of you had it a long time ago. Some of you had a great experience in high school. Some of you had a horrible experience. And so what I want you guys to do is to think about if you have any of these kind of perspectives on Spanish, which are really common perspectives to have, and I want you guys to just chunk those for the moment. Okay? So this idea that Spanish is boring or that Spanish is really hard, it's difficult. You might have had experiences that made you feel that way. Maybe your class was really boring. Maybe it was really difficult. Maybe you got really frustrated. So take that experience, and for now, we're going to put that aside. And hopefully this semester I can show you guys that it is a very interesting, living language, and it's no more difficult than learning anything else. And if you put your mind to it, invest a lot of time, you can learn it. If you hated Spanish in high school, maybe that was a result of different things that were going on. Maybe a teacher who was rude, or who just didn't care about teaching, or maybe somebody made you feel bad about the way that you made mistakes or your accent. Maybe somebody made you feel like you'll never be able to pronounce the words correctly. Perhaps someone laughed at your accent. And then that maybe led to a fear. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake and be laughed at. That's the most common fear I ever hear from language learners. And, I confess that even me, myself, sometimes if I'm taking on a new language, I'll be hesitant sometimes. But that's exactly the wrong attitude to have. In order to learn, we have to make mistakes. And you'll realize that you're not going to be laughed at. That the vast majority of people out there are really sympathetic and really excited when you try to speak their language. So guys, I want you guys to take all of these attitudes and just kind of put them aside, throw them away, and approach this semester with a clean slate, okay? Regardless of your past experience, we're going to start from square one and approach this language in a whole new way. All right, which brings me to my next point. Many people believe that to learn a language, you have to have some kind of language learning gene. You have to have some extraordinary amount of intelligence, okay? And while it's true that there are people that are more or less gifted naturally with languages, anybody, virtually anybody, can learn a foreign language. And it really does not depend on how intelligent you are, how high you would score on an intelligence test. Learning a language is a skill, just like anything else. It's like, learning how to play a sport, learning how to play an instrument. The same principles that you apply to these things, you can apply to learning a language. So the key to your success, not only in this class, but also in your language learning as a whole, is lots and lots of daily practice. And when I say daily, I truly mean daily practice. Minimum every other day, be incorporating some kind of practice. This is going to be more important than your intelligence. It's going to be more important than your performance on an exam. All right, this consistency, this discipline, this waking up every day and putting it into your schedule, that's going to be what pays off in your experience. Motivation, positive attitude, and resources. I'm convinced that if somebody has resources, somebody has motivation, and they're consistent about their practice, then they will succeed at learning a language. I'll talk to you about resources in just a minute. Obviously, I'm going to be your primary resource, but there are many, many others, especially now that we're in the age of the internet. You can find so many podcasts, videos, readings, basically anything that you can think of, you can find. This is a very, very important point. 3 websites you'll need to use for this class. You need to use D2L, d2l.sfasu.edu. Bookmark that site if you haven't already. If you're unfamiliar with D2L, maybe this is the first online class you've had, maybe that you're a transfer student and you never used D2L. If you are not sure about how to use it, I strongly encourage you to come see me in my office. I would be happy to walk you through D2L. It's really a fairly user-friendly interface. If you've ever used Blackboard or WebCT or some other one of these platforms, it's really the same thing. It's just a platform for us to communicate. We have things such as message boards, a grade book, places for me to post notes and content. And so I can give you a quick walkthrough real fast. I'm just going to go to the D2L page, which you can also access through MySFA. You're going to put in your username and password and log in, and then you'll be brought to this home page. I never really stay on this home page. What I do is I go to the top and select a course. You will not have this many courses listed. These are like all the courses I've ever taught. But just pick whatever class you're in, and I'm going to choose Spanish 131 right here. This was my previous semester's page. You'll see this news tab. If you don't see anything on the news tab, make sure you've got this arrow pointing down and you don't have anything hidden. This is where I'm going to post things like important announcements, events of interesting things that are happening, extra credit opportunities. Updates you might find useful. That might be where let's say I gave you some kind of feedback on an assignment. You will see an update over here. Obviously yours will look a little bit different because I'm an instructor, but let's see how it changes if I view as a student. Okay, yeah, so it changes slightly. So things that you maybe haven't read. This is probably the most useful tool for most students is the calendar. Again, make sure you have this arrow pointing down, otherwise your content will be hidden. And here you'll see things like upcoming events. So the language logs, which I'll tell you all about soon, those will be listed there. Anything else that I need you guys to submit that's coming up, that will be listed there. And then we have here the content browser where you can just simply access our course materials. Mainly what I'm going to put here is important stuff like your syllabus, some supplemental notes that you guys might need, reviews, and stuff like that. So I really, really encourage you to go to the content browser. I'll often also post videos through there, especially after you take a quiz, for instance. I will post a video going through that quiz so you know what you got wrong, what you got right. Another way to get to this exact same material is just to go straight to content. If you go to content, you can see this whole little menu on the side. And you can start clicking through and just kind of read through the important stuff. And I really, really, really not only recommend, but really require you guys to go through this technology part, which explains how to set up everything that you need for the semester. Once you get that all set up, the semester will be a lot easier. Okay, so that's just a quick little intro to D2L. So let's continue. We also need to use this website, and you'll need to bookmark this, cengage.com/ilearn. This is super important. This is where you're going to be doing all of your online homework assignments, which will be a huge portion of your grade. So real quick, I'll show you what that website looks like. cengage.com/ilearn. And you will just simply click in. It doesn't matter which one you click. There's two buttons here. So sign in. And for you guys, what you will have to do is go to create an account. You will fill out this info here, just like you're creating an email account. And you also will need to take your textbook, and there's going to be a book key inside, and there will be a spot for you to enter in that book key. Okay? Once you get that set up, I'll show you what your website will look like. It'll look a little bit different. Whoops. If I can remember my username. It'll look a little bit different from mine since I'm an instructor, not a student. But basically, what you'll end up with is a page that looks like this, where you have a calendar of assignments that you can just simply click on and go through. You have this course materials page, which in other words is basically your textbook. And it has all the activities you could possibly want to ever do in this course materials section. There's self-tests, which is if you want to get ahead and just really test your knowledge of the material, you can do these self-tests. Reference materials. Yeah, it looks like there's some audio flashcards and things like that in there. And then we have the textbook itself, communication manual, right here, and an ebook form that you can use if you don't have your print version of the book. So that's your most important website next to D2L. And then lastly, we have ProctorU.com. ProctorU, you will only need to mess with twice. Really once if you want to schedule both exams at once. This is for exam scheduling. Because this is an online class, we have to ensure that there's no cheating. Obviously, there's no way for me to do that because I'm not able to be in a room with all of you. And so what we have to use is this service called ProctorU, which basically connects you to an online proctor. Proctor is a person who watches you take your test, essentially. And it's a little bit annoying of a process. It might be a little bit awkward the first time you do it, but hey, you only have to do it twice this semester, and if you schedule your appointment 3 days in advance, you don't have to pay any sorts of fees or anything like that. And there's documents that explain how this all works. I know it's overwhelming whenever you first hear about all of this, but essentially right now, get familiar with D2L, get familiar with this iLearn website, set up your account, and you can visit on D2L. You can visit my instructions about ProctorU. You guys have a little time for that. You don't have to do anything with this until near midterm time. Okay, so just some quick info from the syllabus, so you don't have to read through all of it right now. Just know who I am, where to find me. Again, my name is Kelsey Pelham. My office is in the Ferguson building on the ground floor in the language lab, which is Ferguson G77. I'm in office A, which is off to the left. My student hours are Monday and Wednesday from 9 to 11, and from Tuesday, Thursday from 3 to 4. I say student hours and not office hours because I want to make it abundantly clear that these hours are for y'all. They're not for me just to sit there and do work or just to work on my own little side projects. That time is for y'all to come in and ask questions. Never be afraid to come in. If for some reason I'm not there, which, life happens for me as well. I might be late one day. Please, send me an email or get in touch, and I will be happy to make up that time to you. And if those times don't work for you to meet, we can always set up an appointment outside of office hours if you email me in advance, and we set that up. I have my office phone, which is really the language lab phone right there, and my email address. All right, I'm about to run out of time on this video, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a second part of this intro video to make sure you guys are really clear on everything you need to do to set yourself up for the semester. I will see you soon in that second video. Hasta pronto. Adios.